Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Odierno and Secretary McHugh, thank you so much, both of you, for your service to our country. My first question, a statement, and that is that I hope you continue the practice of keeping our wounded warriors on active duty for their rehabilitation. And I think that's a very significant change. My father was a career soldier. I was in the Army. And I volunteered as a teenager during the Vietnam War in an Army hospital, and the morale was bad. Once they were stabilized there, they were sent to the VA facilities, and unfortunately, they were often substandard, and felt that they were abandoned by the Army. And I think now, when I go to Bethesda and I meet with our wounded warriors, and I'm glad to say also that the casualty rate is down, but in terms of rehabilitation, the numbers are still strong, but they're receiving great care. And I'm a subcommittee chairman in Veterans Affairs, and I clearly want to improve the quality of the care there, but it's not where it is where I'm confident that they're going to get the same quality of care that they do right now at Bethesda and other facilities across this country. So obviously want to see you continue that particular policy. The second issue is that the Base Realignment and Closure Commission. I wonder if you could tell me what you think the savings are to that, if you feel that we have surplus capacity in terms of facilities inside the continental United States. I wonder if you could answer that.
Well, we have not done any current analysis, and previous NDAAs have precluded us from using funds to do that, and we've respected that. But if you go back to the last known assessment of excess capacity in the Army, I believe it was 2004, it shows us to have about 20% as excess capacity. I think it's fair to assume in those ensuing 8+ years that excess capacity has grown, and it's certainly, from our view, going to grow even more as we come down to 490,000 end strength within the active component. So I think the judgment that we have is that, believe me, having sat through 3 BRAC rounds and on this committee for 17 years, not something that's easy to do. But in these particularly challenging times, it's important for us to do the next BRAC round, and this budget asks for one in 2015, earlier rather than later, so we can begin to receive savings as quickly as possible. But that's pretty much where we are at this moment.
Okay. My last issue concerns the fact that we are inevitably shifting our Guard and Reserve from an operational to a strategic reserve. I think that will simply happen over time. We've drawn down in Iraq. We're drawing down in Afghanistan. And my concern, I served in both the Army and the Marine Corps and their respective reserve components, as as time elapses, that the readiness declines in the Guard and Reserve, and it may take. We may need to rethink the model that we have for the Guard and Reserve right now in terms of training requirements, and instead of going back, if we go back to that 2 weeks a year or 1 week in a month, that may not do it. And so, and I look back at the first Gulf War, where we had units reporting in the Guard and Reserve that were not ready to be deployed, and we can never be in that situation again. I think that they're at a razor's edge right now in terms of capability, given all the deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I'm worried that we may lose that over time, and maybe General Odierno, I'm wondering if you could address that.
Well, Congressman, unfortunately, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and it's gonna degrade to some extent. There's no way we can keep it at the level that it's been just because of the number of deployments. But we got to come up with ways to do it better than we did before. And I think we have to look at different ways. Maybe there is different ways to look at how we divide up that 39 days a year that they have available for them to train. And so we'll work with the National Guard to take a look at that, because we have to figure this out. And we're trying to do it through this Army Force Generation process. During certain times, we'll increase the number of days for certain years. We're committed to that. I'm not sure that's enough. Mm-hmm. So we'll continue to work with the National Guard and U.S. Army Reserve to come up with unique ways to try to figure out how we best utilize those 39 days. It's so hard within that short period of time to maintain a level of readiness, and we just got to figure out how we best utilize and most efficiently utilize that time we're given. Because the one thing I tell everybody in the last 12 years, we've proven why exactly we need a National Guard and U.S. Army Reserve. They're critical to everything that we do. This balance of active Guard Reserve is critical to us as we move forward, and that will not change. And this is not about one or the other. It's about having that full range of capability that we need. So we're committed to that, and we got to come up with the right solutions as we go forward. And we'll look forward to working with you on that as we go forward.
Thank you, Mr.
General
Rogers.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.